What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on matcha tea and the Pilot Justus 95. So a couple of you guys said that you wanted me to close the things behind me because it's too crazy bright, so I'm going to try it. I don't know if I'm crazy about the background because there's nothing to look at other than my ugly mug, but we'll take a peek. And also, I'm still getting over my cold that I've had for like 2 bloody weeks now, so, sorry. But speaking of cold, I went into David's Tea a little while ago because everyone keeps asking me, like, what are your thoughts on matcha? Which is a kind of like a powderized green tea. And it's like supposedly really, really healthy for you because it's the only tea where you're actually ingesting part of the tea leaf. So you're not just getting like the runoff nutrients of green tea, you actually are getting the full benefits of it. And I like green tea, but I'm not a huge like lover of it. I'm very picky, so I was kind of a little nervous to go in and try it. I took their advice essentially when I went to the store. They said the best way to kind of venture into matcha is to get it made into a latte. So that way it's not like full straight up matcha. You can kind of sweeten it, flavor it a little bit, and kind of like warm transfer yourself into that flavor. So I'm going to insert a picture of matcha. It's kind of like a green powder that you froth up using like a bowl and like this kind of like special whisk. And then there are, like I could talk about matcha for days. There are so many different kinds of matcha that you can get. I got mine made out of what's called ceremonial grade matcha, just because that's all they had actually in the store. They had run out of the regular kinds. You can get other ones, like ceremonial grade matcha is like the best matcha. Or matcha, depending on, I'm probably gonna get yelled at for calling it matcha, but anyways, for like just drinking it plain, because apparently it's sweeter and it's lost a lot of like the impurities. Whereas you can get flavored matcha, which is not as like pure, it's not as like refined, I guess. But when you get it made into like a latte, it doesn't really matter because you can't pick out those notes anyways. But all they had is ceremonial grade matcha, so I got mine made out of that. It was not at all what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. I think I was expecting it to be a little bit sweeter than it was. It was not sweet at all. It was kind of grassy, kind of. I wouldn't go so far as to say dirt, but it was definitely earthy flavors, which is something that I am not used to. I loved the texture of it. It was very silky, like the texture of the latte was amazing, but the flavor was unlike anything I've experienced before. It was slightly off-putting, but I still want to try it again. I just want to try getting it made a little bit differently. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on matcha because from the people that I've talked to in my life, it is a love or hate thing. Some people like swear by it. They're diehard fans. Like it's, amazing. And then other people think it's the scum of the earth, disgusting, and they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So I'm curious as to, to what you all think about it. But that was my first experience drinking matcha, and it was an odd one, but one that didn't scare me off completely, but it definitely didn't hook me for sure. So, yeah. But a pen that I'm going to pair with that today is the Pilot Justus 95. This was also a pen lent to me by somebody very, very awesome. Again, doesn't really have a huge social media presence, so I can't really shout out anybody, but I'm super happy that she let me borrow these because this was a pen that I had been eyeing to actually purchase before she lent it to me. So it worked out. I was really, really happy. So the pen in general just obviously has a black finial. The whole thing is black with gold accents. You can't get any other model, I believe, other than this, black and gold rather. cap kind of like bulges towards the middle and then slims down towards the end. So you got the gold ring band here that comes down to this clip that has kind of like 2 little arrows, which again, you'll see a better closer up version of everything in a second. The clip is pretty stiff. It's usable, but it's definitely on the stiffer side. Around the cap band, you have a thin gold band here, and then the thicker main band that just says Justus 95, Pilot Japan on the back. And the lettering is filled with like a black lacquer or a black something to really make those letters appear crisp and pop out, which is really cool. I like it. It tapers down and you have another gold ring and just a black end cap here. The pen screws out to reveal the grip section and the nib itself, which I'll get a little farther into in a second. You unscrew the body, reveal the Pilot Con 70 converter, which is a push converter. Pros and cons, very quickly. Larger ink capacity, pain in the butt to clean out. Just saying. You cannot eyedropper convert this pen because of the metal components right here. So screw this guy back in. And of course, you do have another gold ring around the grip section right here. So the grip section looks like it's very, very large, but from about here to here is the traditional grip section. And from here to here is actually a mechanism that will move this little guy here on top of the nib up or down. And what that supposedly allows you to do is when the mechanism is all the way down, so when this guy, this little piece here, is all the way down, it allows for more room for the tines to spread apart. So the nib is supposedly softer. When you twist this, and again, I'll do a closer up in a second, you can see how it moves this little piece here, so that very little of the tines are now unsupported. So it's harder nib. So that's the whole point of this nib, is that you can have a soft, this is a fine, you can also get a medium, but you can have a soft fine and a hard fine in one pen, which is a very cool concept. I really, really dig it. And I mean, they obviously put like crazy time and effort into trying to like figure out how to do that successfully. The feed on the back of the pen is the typical Pilot feed. One thing I will say right off the bat, as soon as I open up the box, this pen, I don't want to say lackluster because that's not what I mean at all. I really like the look. The pen's bigger than what I was expecting. This is a big pen, like capped, it's almost the size of my entire hand. Uncapped, it sits very well in my hand. And the weight is nice, but because, like I was saying when I was saying like lackluster, even though that's not what I want to say, I wasn't expecting it to be all resin. This is a plastic pen, essentially. There's nothing too fancy going on with the material. There are, and you'll see this in the closer up, but the entire black barrel is texturized. I don't know if you can hear that, but you will see that in the closer up. So I do like that, but I just wasn't expecting it to be all plastic. I wasn't expecting it to be all resin. So that was I don't even want to say that was a bit of a disappointment. It was just a bit of I had to reevaluate my expectations, essentially. But it fits really, really well in my hand. You can post it, although I don't know why you would want to unless you have giant hands, because then it just becomes super, super long. Because like I said, this is a very big pen. Now that I've used it for a little while and I'm used to the plastic resin finish, I'm kind of glad that it is resin and isn't metal or any other material, because if it was metal, based on the size of this pen, it would be a very heavy pen because it's so big. And the price point is already pretty high, so I don't know if I would want the material to be made out of anything like celluloid or anything like that, because then it would make it even more expensive. So retail pricing, US dollars, this is going to run you about $312. For Canadians, it's going to get you close to about $400. Granted, I have seen it cheaper, not retail pricing, but still, that's a lot. For me personally, I would not pay full price for this. Now, again, I'm thinking the $400 price point because I'm Canadian. I don't think that this pen is worth $400. But if you can find this pen a little bit cheaper, I would wholeheartedly recommend it, for reasons of which I will get into in about 30 seconds when I flip this camera around to do the writing sample. Okay, so we got Clairefontaine paper. We have, excuse me, Robert Oster marine ink inside of a Pilot Justus 95, and this is a fine nib. You can get medium as well, but this is the fine. And currently I have it sitting in the soft position, so this little bracer here is all the way down. This is very smooth, so no pressure, you know, just writing like normal. This is a very, very smooth nib. It flows very well, which I think it kind of needs to, because as soon as you start dealing with any kind of flex, you want it to have a good amount of flow in order to keep up. So I really like that. No pressure for reverse writing. You can't really, so no go on that. But what this pen is really meant for is to flex. So no pressure, flex writing. Now you're gonna see it's already railroading on me. When I first inked this pen up, I could write pages without any railroading. Now, for whatever reason, it has started railroading on me. And I'm not really sure why, because you can see here, it just railroads now all the time. Like I said, when I first inked it up, it didn't railroad at all. I could write a whole page and it was fantastic. And I was getting ready to like film this video. I was writing down all my points, and then this started happening, you know, which is disappointing because obviously you don't want that to happen. You know, my converter is still full, mostly full anyways, of ink. So it shouldn't be an issue, but yet this is what's happening now. If I rotate, so now the kind of bracer guy here is all the way up, and I do the same thing, it's still very soft, you know, like very, very nice and smooth, you know, doing no pressure. When I do apply some pressure, you can still get a good amount of flex. Not quite the amount that you can when it's full. So this is in hard mode. Then if I bring this guy down and go in soft mode, it does allow you to get further, but again, I'm still railroading. So I thought it was really important to show you all of this while it was doing that railroading issue, to say that just because this is a more expensive pen doesn't mean you're not going to get these issues. So I want to point that out because clearly it's still happening. When this pen is working flawlessly and it's not railroading, I really, 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 really like it. I like it slightly more than my Pilot Falcon, which is another kind of like flex pen. You don't get the option to do like soft or fine. Although to be honest, I don't see the point. I really don't. Like, you still get decent line variation between the two. I very rarely ever have it in the hard mode. I pretty much always have it as soft. So if you, when you were able to like move this into the hard position, if that was literally made it so that you don't get any flex at all, and it is completely hard, then I would say this is like wondrous technology. That would be well worth it. But to be honest, you still get a pretty good line variation with that anyways. So do I recommend this pen? Yes. Is it one that still needs trial and error to find out, ink combinations and things like that work in this pen? Yeah, you do. So I do recommend it, but just don't think of it as it's an expensive pen, so it's going to work 100% of the time, all the time, because you are still going to run into that issue. Now, again, there is no hard starting, no skipping, no anything like that when you're writing regularly. It just comes down to when you're flexing the pen, which in my experience with any flex pen I've ever used, that's pretty much always the issue that you're going to run into. Yeah, I also forgot to mention, sorry, that these threads, when you're holding it, this little mechanism here feels very nice. It's not obtrusive in any way, shape, or form when you're holding the pen. And if you do hold your pen really far back, these feel really nice as well. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up. If you really like the video and haven't yet done so already, please do hit that subscribe button. New videos come out every Monday and Friday, and the occasional Q&A on Tuesday. Don't be afraid of the comment section below. Don't be afraid of answering other people's comments, especially. And guys, as always, I will see you guys next time. Bye.